All right, it's the Charlotte Soccer Show World Cup Banter Edition special supplement back for a final wrap up. It's your boy Danny Brams. It's your boy Matt Geslin. And we're here. And we are not bi-coastal tonight. Matt, you've made your way back to the East Coast. And we
Yep.
just saw an epic final. And the cup is over. And everything that goes along with it is hopefully gone. And the soccer stands. We got a lot to talk about here because we've been gone for a little while. And
Sure
we'll
do.
get you all caught up on why, if you didn't know why, and we'll talk about the match itself, and we'll talk about life and about Christmas and just the joy that it all can bring. Matt, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Danny Brams. My heart has finally slowed down after yesterday. As you mentioned, was back on the East Coast, able to watch the game with my dad. So
Oh,
I know we
just
talked
two
about it
Flint, just
before.
a couple of
Two
Frenchmen in
Frenchmen,
Florida.
two Frenchmen in Florida. So yes, our hearts are still kind of coming down, but what an epic final. I think all of us, whether you like the sport or not, whether you're associated with the sport, if that didn't get you going, man, I don't know what will. And it's great to be back with you, Danny Brams. I know we don't have to go into it. If you haven't heard on Danny's take, go check out the Charlotte Soccer Show, where Danny rightfully kind of articulated his thoughts, and obviously we respect that on this show. And certainly the noise is finally gone, but the World Cup as a whole was fantastic, and like you said, a lot to catch up on. But glad to be here
Yeah,
tonight.
soccer itself was fantastic. If you're wondering why things dropped off for this show at the quarterfinal after the first quarterfinal episode that we did, I just really didn't, and neither of us really felt like doing
Right.
content episodes on this World Cup anymore after the
Yep.
death of Grant Wall, which was really unfortunate and really
Hmm.
sad. Um, and it was first thought to be suspicious. Nefarious foul play has been ruled out in that death, but it just kind of hammered home when it happened all the things about this World Cup that were outside the soccer in terms of Qatar's
Yep.
corruption, Qatar's oppression, Qatar's just basket of problems, if you will. And
Yep.
it just, for me, I felt like it kind of brought back my whole original thing of like I wanted to boycott this World Cup, and then I eventually
Hmm.
couldn't because I just love the soccer so much, and I thought I'd just make it all about the
Sure.
soccer. Suddenly everything that was not about the soccer came rushing back to the forefront, and it just didn't feel
Yep.
like doing any more episodes. So I do apologize for that. I did sell out, my self-righteous stand eventually, and when it came, I didn't watch any games. I missed the England-France game. I missed a bunch of good games, but when we got to the final, the day, Johnny Hayes, friend of the show,
Yep.
asked me, he was like, "Hey man, do you want to watch the final somewhere? Do you want to get together for a watch party?" And I said, like, I thought I was taking this big moral stand, but really, it doesn't really mean anything to anybody. It's really just what's in my conscience. And it came down to the fact I was like, am I going to turn down the chance to go hang out with a friend and meet some new friends, which I did actually at the watch party.
Yep.
And let's at least amongst all the bad shit that surrounds this whole World Cup, let's at least try to salvage a little bit about the beautiful game and community and
Totally.
friendship, all of
Yep.
that. Long-winded explanation to say I did sell out my values. I guess I went to a big watch party for the final, and ultimately I'm glad I did, because what a match. I mean, what was it like for
Yeah.
you as a huge fan of France? I was a neutral, so for me, the neutral,
Right.
I was loving life, even though there was probably about a 30-45 minute stretch across the halftime into the second
Hmm.
half that got pretty boring. But once Mbappe
Yep.
scored that 1 minute brace,
Yep.
electrified, and the game wrote its name down in the history books of sports.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely an batshit crazy last 45 minutes of the game. I
Yeah.
don't know how else to describe that, Danny Brams. I
Mhm.
mean, what we saw was just pure chaos in the most beautiful form imaginable, where, like you mentioned, France down two in the 80th minute, really sleepwalking through this game.
Yeah, me and Johnny are looking at each
Just
other
to
like we're like 85th minute, you wanna beat the traffic out of here? I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, probably."
yeah,
Yeah,
probably
sure.
close, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
that penalty changed things, and we can certainly get into kind of, how France approached the game and what happened there. But just as a whole, just looking at it
Fair
holistically from
penalty?
80
Soft
minutes.
penalty.
Oh, definitely penalty. I mean, you couldn't really say anything else. But If
Of
anything,
of
almost a
the
red
3
card
penalties that were
potentially.
given in the game, were they all good, or were
Yeah,
I thought
yeah. I
the
thought
first Argentina
I,
penalty was super soft for me.
it was, but also Dembele isn't behind the defender. He has no business touching Di Maria that way. So I'm okay with
Yeah,
it.
but he
Dembele, we'll definitely get into.
touch
I
leads to a
touched him,
dive.
should have let him go. You knew what Di Maria was going to
They
do
were
when the ball
cones.
came across, and it was a disaster. That first 70 minutes was quite embarrassing to be a French citizen, to be honest. The way they
Wow.
came out, passing the ball out of bounds to a guy that was probably 5 feet away from each other. Poor touches. Just looks flat.
Yeah, they were doing
Deschamps
nothing.
make the they were doing nothing, and great substitution by Deschamps at the end of the half.
Mhm.
Dembele absolutely useless, and honestly, to be honest, never should have started this game. I thought, Kingsley Coman could have started earlier in the tournament. I think if you started looking at, round of 16 on, Dembele was basically a ghost. You didn't see him the whole tournament. You never
Right.
heard his name. That's kind of the way he had these moments at Barcelona early in the season that everyone got super excited about him. Hey, he's going to be, that centerpiece or that extra element
Mhm.
for France in the World Cup. And he just completely fell off the earth. I think this game is going to be really
Well,
difficult for him as he goes back to
think about it.
Barcelona to kind of come into it. But that was a performance that you just don't want
Just
to see.
thinking about it on a karma level, what is France thinking? Running out Griezmann and Dembele, 2 guys
Mm-hmm.
who basically were like Messi ruined their Barcelona careers,
Yeah,
by like
yeah,
refusing to pass them the
exactly.
ball.
Yep,
So
yep.
it's like, was there a revenge factor there, or was it an intimidation factor? I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
that was kind of a
but
fun little side dynamic that was going on.
yeah, and again, nothing really came out of the game. Like you said, you and Johnny could have left it at the 75th minute, and no one would have thought the difference. And
No, yeah,
and even
it
that
was in the
penalty,
75th that we were like
yeah.
85th. If this is still 2-0, we're out of here, and we're like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And then
absolutely,
all
absolutely.
of a
And
sudden,
and even the
and
penalty that we got was out of nothing. I mean, it was like
yeah,
just kind of came out of nothing, and all of a sudden he goes down. Now, if you look at the replay later on, and I didn't think about this because again, it came such out of nothing that actually could have been a red card. I know that we got the penalty out of that, and we got the goal from that. But if you look
mhm,
at the instance of Otamendi pulling him down, it is really Koulibaly one on one with the keeper. That is a last man, and he pulls him down, and that should have been a red card. Would have changed the complexion of the last 10 minutes. Again, France really pushed for the end, almost got the winner in regular time, and then Danny Brams. I don't think I've ever seen an extra time like that in my life.
right, yeah,
Just up and down,
insanity.
back and forth. Messi scores. No one knew that he scored. I think everyone in the stadium even was kind of perplexed and
He
just
knew.
kind of like, what
He
just
knew.
happened? He
He
knew.
had no
He
confusion
knew,
about it. Yeah,
but
for
everyone else
sure.
was like, what just happened? And then of course, you look at the
Well,
clock,
that
7
was the
minutes
one
to
that looked like
go.
it was cleared off the line, right? But the guy was actually like
Exactly.
3 feet deep in the goal when he cleared
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
Koundé was inside the net, and so you're looking at it. You're looking at the clock. 7 minutes to go. France just came back from 2 goals down. How are they going to do this? This game is over, right? No, another penalty. You know, Mbappe puts it again. We're tied at 3,
Mm.
and then Emil Martinez, give him credit as maybe the best save of in football history. If you look at the
Arsenal
clock, you
DNA.
look at the time, Arsenal DNA, I know it's your boy. If you look at the stoppage of when they put that, it is 123 in the 120 plus 3 game, and that save with his left foot,
Insane.
it saved Argentina and it gave them the trophy. So maybe arguably one of the best saves of all time.
Kick saving a beauty. If I was not sitting in a chair, if I was standing up, I would do the crotch thrust like Emmy,
Mm-hmm.
just to
Yep.
hammer home the point. But I'm gonna spare everybody that since I'm sitting down. That's the only reason I'm not doing it. But it was great. Yeah, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Coleman and I, awesome young player.
Yep.
France got to be excited about him. He did some things. You could make the argument like, yeah, how about Deschamps? Like we watch a lot of soccer, right? And
We do. Yep.
we almost never get to watch a game with stakes this high, but
Mm-hmm.
you watch so much soccer of managers being conservative, managers being like, oh well, I don't want to make the substitution too early. Let's give this guy, a full hour or so to run out before we sub him out.
Right.
When you can tell after 20 minutes that that's not their day. And credit to
Yep.
Deschamps for making, it's the World Cup final. There is no tomorrow, to
Right.
quote Apollo Creed. And he made the subs at the 40th minute. He said, F it. And it was another good thing that was what allowed him to make those subs was this whole new emphasis on extra time. on
Correct.
stoppage time being accurate, because I think
Yep.
there was like 7 minutes of stoppage time in the first half. So bringing those guys
There
on at
was,
40,
yep.
they actually got about 15 minutes to run around and be ready to go in that second half, which in the early part of the second half, it's not like France was that much better. I had a thing
No,
where
they
like
weren't.
my theory was they were rope-a-doping Argentina overall in the macro sense of the game plan. They were kind of letting Argentina run at them for the first 30 minutes, especially trying to get their legs a little tired. And it could have kind of succeeded. Unfortunately, they gave up 2 goals in the process, but
I think if you
still didn't see much
goal,
fight from France until that moment, until Mbappe just took it over.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what we said too. We were just, we were very pessimistic all first half. It was like I said, you couldn't make a pass. I mean, they couldn't control the ball. They couldn't get
even
it
pass
from
one guy to the
6
other.
feet away.
Horrible.
And so we thought, okay, maybe second half. But then that first 20 minutes out of the gate, and it's the same type of play. You're just wondering, is this really going to happen? And then again, out of nothing. I mean, out of nothing, Danny Brams, you're just, the world changed in a minute. And so,
Zutalors,
again, to your point,
what can you say?
Yeah, exactly. And to your point about, Deschamps, I mean, 60 minutes is, you normally would give someone like Giroud, that opportunity, especially Giroud. I mean, Dembele, maybe you have a shorter leash, but
even in a normal knockout game, you'd still leave him out there.
Yeah,
but in the final,
exactly.
you got to pull the trigger.
But you had to think that he had that in his mind, right? Because to make that move, it had to have been in his thought before that. If we're down or if we have to make a change, we have to put Mbappe in the middle, right? Because they were getting outnumbered in the midfield again, with him not really coming back. So they needed to make that change. There was discussion about Thuram starting over Giroud, almost all the way up until kick.
Yeah, why not?
So that was kind of
Colomani, great semifinal also,
Exactly. So, get those guys on, and they definitely changed the way that France played. Again, the formation changed, and Mbappe went more central at the top, which is kind of where he would like to play. But, it was already too late, and I think the game was as great as the last 40 minutes was, from a neutral's perspective. France lost the game in those first 60 minutes by not showing up. So, credit to Messi, credit to Argentina. They deserved it. They definitely were the better team. They came out with aggression. They came out pressing, put France under fire, and they deserved to win it. But it was a great final.
The second goal of Argentina's to go up 2-0 was so nice. Everyone's going to say, oh, Messi did so well on this. And he did. Obviously, he made a nice little square ball pass. He drew the defenders to himself and then dished off to ADM for a wide open shot. But I got to shout out my boy. I got to shout out Spider-Man Julian Alvarez. Absolutely ridiculous. No look, side foot, into space, perfectly weighted ball to catch Messi on the run for that counter. Just an absolutely ridiculous pass. For Enzo Fernandez to get young player of the tournament over Julian Alvarez just shows to me a sheer lack of appreciation really for the specialness of this kid Alvarez. I mean, I don't know. I'm biased because I watched him play. I watched him play for 2 seasons at River Plate and just absolutely, I mean, he was the Messi of River Plate for 2 years. And in terms of creating his own shot, in terms of creating shots for others, in terms of harassing defenders, in terms of making life tough on the goalkeeper for 90 full minutes. He's not, I see these coaches, the Argentinian coach, Scolari, right? And then Pep at Man City, and they're trying to play Julian as a striker. I'm like, guys, this guy's not a striker. Like, this guy is your playmaker. This guy is freaking, he's Kevin De Bruyne and Gabby Jesus all wrapped up into one, so like, I'd like to see more love for Julian going forward into 2023.
Agreed.
He's one of the best players in the world.
No doubt about it. And I think his role for Argentina will certainly be different long term than what it would be for Man City. I think obviously having Haaland up top.
You can't play the Messi role for a team that has Messi on it, obviously. Yeah,
exactly.
So I get that.
Right, exactly. And who are you going to play up front? Lautaro was a waste, kind of.
And
really
he's a young player who has lost his way, Lautaro Martinez. I mean, 2-3 years ago, they're like, this guy's the future, the next Kun Aguero, and he's absolutely nothing now. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's sad to see. I mean, but again, another opportunity for a young kid to come in. Julian Alvarez took his moment, really didn't lose it, from that first game when he came in when Martinez was slow in the first, I think it was against Saudi Arabia, and Alvarez played from Mexico on, and he took that opportunity and he ran with it. And he, the connection with Messi and how young and how long they go back together, just kind of, it was a nice kind of moment to see them can make that full circle.
Enzo is nice too. This is not to bash Enzo.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Enzo's a good
Yeah,
player.
no.
He's playing for
Yeah.
Benfica, probably going to go
Yep.
to Liverpool soon, are the rumors. I mean,
Yep.
this is another young up and comer. He scored a banger worldy goal earlier in this tournament. But he's a box to box mid that is just not as dynamic for me in terms of creating beautiful attacking soccer as Julian Alvarez. I really didn't like that young player vote at all. Felt it was just kind of media all playing a copycat role, and not using their actual eyes. But what do I know?
Yeah,
I'm
and there was
biased.
kids
I like
the,
Julian,
there was
so
kid, totally, and there was kids throughout the tournament, right? And I think what those awards always come down to, right, is who made the final, who won.
Yeah, you said you would have given it to someone who wasn't even in the final.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I thought there was way better young play. I mean, Bukayo Saka played fantastic for England, even though they got knocked out early. Just watching him play. Jude Bellingham, another guy. There's players all over the world, but Musiala, if you'd watched him, even though they didn't advance, just the way.
How about Gvardiol
they're going to have
Croatia?
Yeah, of course, that was not
right?
that would have been my actual vote for young player of the tournament. To be honest, he was fantastic. He's got a great future. Of course, they kept telling us that he's 20 years old, so we all know that at this point. If you watch any of the coverage,
he played the damn tournament in a freaking mask and still was dominant as a center back.
Still was dominant. So there was so many good things, to come out of this tournament from the future of the game. Let it take away from all the conversation.
How about, for Korea, our boy Cho Sung.
I mean, you have guys from the Moroccan team getting looked at now by the rest of Europe. A lot of different clubs are going to pick up some of these kids that you never would have thought of, and that's the beauty of the World Cup. And again, I think to your point, Enzo's great; he has a great future. But for me, it would have been a better pick to pick someone else. And it's just the fact that he was in the final and won the tournament just kind of gave him that leg up, unfortunately.
Yeah, when you're not even the best young player on your team, how can you be the best in the tournament? But
yeah,
that ends
exactly.
That'll end the portion of the show where we just shit on a rising superstar in world soccer for no reason.
Exactly.
Anything more you want to say? Should we move on to the pool? Let's first check a couple SofaScore ratings here.
Yeah,
haven't even done a screen share. Like, this is how rusty we are here on this on the show. We haven't done an episode for a while, and now I'm slacking on the screen share.
Credit where credit is due. I think obviously. We don't. The topic of who is the greatest of all time is certainly subjective and hard to, as Johnny has told us in the past.
I think Messi definitely agree.
I think he sealed it. I think it's hard to say otherwise. I think, just looking at his stats of what he's done in the game over the last 16 years, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. 7 Ballon d'Ors, 10 league titles in La Liga. Already won a league title in France and may win another one this year. Multiple Champions Leagues. I mean, the guy is just, you add this World Cup and what he's meant to Argentina, and just think about the pressure that he had on him, not just in, this World Cup, but over the course of that whole time period of him playing. And so, huge credit to Messi, huge credit to Argentina, very deserving. The third World Cup for them, most recent one since '86. So they move ahead of us, fourth all time.
Diego Armando Maradona. Yeah.
Yep. So 4th all time. So, it's a great moment. France, I will say this, has a bright future ahead of them too. This was really, and I don't take anything away from Argentina. Think of all the youngsters, think of the guys that were hurt. To be fair, this was kind of a B+, A- France team, if you really think about it. And the fact that they were able to get all the way to the final with 6 starters arguably missing from the entire tournament is a huge testament to Deschamps and the staff.
I think you and I talked on the show earlier in this series about how Tchouaméni was the future, and it was everyone's whining about Conte and Pogba not being there, but Tchouaméni, like, you should just be happy that you've got him because he's the man, and Camavinga, and,
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
Like, me, I favor young players. I'm Mr. Play the kids all the time,
yep.
But all damn day on Sunday, I just kept listening to a France fan in my ear. Who was just like, where's Pogba? Where's Conte? Like, we need these guys. These kids are horrible. So it's like there's a different perspective, at least, for sure. So
totally. And there is a whole different level of playing up to a final, right? And then the pressure of a final. You saw it in Tchouaméni's penalty. Not even hitting the net.
Yeah.
I think, and there's not. Look, he's young. He's 20 years old. He's going to be there a long time. This will be a great learning experience for him. But having a guy who's
why did he shoot the third penalty? That makes no sense.
Who else are you going to put there, though? I mean, to be fair, no one really had. You took Griezmann out, you took Giroud out. Varane's out at that point. So
I would have had Thuram take over a defensive midfielder first myself.
I would have too. I would have as well. But again, they're young kids. So you're
respect to both coaches, though, for having Messi and Mbappe take the first 2 penalties. I hate when coaches try to save their superstar for last.
Neymar's still waiting to take his, right?
To take a penalty. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's happened to Ronaldo before, either in a Euro or in a Champions League, a huge knockout game where he didn't get to take a penalty. So just coaches out there, put your best penalty shooters first. Don't try to drop the hammer at the end. That's
put something on the board. Always put something on the board, and you never know what happens. So, But you see here, Dembele, 5.6.
5.6.
If you look at him throughout the tournament, I think Danny Brams, his average must be within the 6s. I don't think he ever got above, 6,
he had one bright moment, game. Right?
So, yeah, just a tough tournament for him. That could have been, you could have rotated some guys out had others been healthy, So again, it's a lot of things that played into it here. But
here's Dembele's rating: 7.7, 6.7, 7.0, 7.4, 6.9, 6. It just got worse and worse as things went on.
Got worse.
The only times he got over a 7 when he had the assists, which is going to pump up your score. So
yeah, and not against strong opponents. Tunisia, Australia. Not really the most credit to Australia. They made it to the round of 16, but not the most the biggest.
When the game got tougher,
exactly,
it got too tough for him. For sure.
tough though. And
here's the Messi World Cup heat map. Look at that. He's got a giant red mark right on the penalty spot and both corners, and he's just living in this zone right here. He's just like one thing that makes Messi so good. Obviously, he's got so much talent for sure, but he also just he's so by default the thing that makes his team go, and he's so talented enough to be. You can't really everybody focus on Messi and will stop him. You still don't stop him. So what happens is they don't go more than 3 passes without getting the ball back to his feet. And this is what I'd love to see from my team, from Charlotte Football Club. I would love to see. I'm not even coming close to trying to compare Karol Swiderski to Lionel Messi. It's not happening. What I'm saying is the commitment to getting their best player touches is so admirable, and it's undeniable when it's Messi. Obviously, I'd like to see my team do that more. If you look at New England Revolution, they do the similar thing with Carlos Gil. They don't if the ball is passed 3 times, the next one's going back to Carlos Gil or Leo Messi or and hopefully Karol Swiderski in the Charlotte case. You never really lose anything by playing through your superstars in the game of football. Obviously, it's a team game and it's not a one-man game most of the time. I will argue that with how badly everyone around them was playing, this World Cup final really did come down to Mbappe versus Messi for the World Cup.
It really did get there. Yeah. It really did get there. I mean, Kylian single-handedly carried France to even being in this, to be close. 2 goals in 97 seconds. That's including the restart time and the celebration. So really, maybe
and the second goal, such a bang,
seconds.
Just
insane. And the second goal is phenomenal. Now, I will say this, and I love it, Kylian Mbappe, and I think the sky is the ceiling in his game is out of control. He has a long way to go, though, to be at that same level as Messi and to dominate a game and to kind of be that playmaker for the rest of the team. So again, he is fantastic at 23, 24 now. His birthday is today. Happy birthday to him, Joyeux Noël, joyeux anniversaire.
Joyeux anniversaire, indeed, yeah.
Yep. And so he's got a long way to go, but he's got to, he's starting at a really good place at 24. And obviously a World Cup champion already, a hat trick, and one of the, a hat trick hasn't been done since '66. So, to be there at 24 is crazy. So, yeah, but he still has a lot to learn. And obviously I hope he kind of takes that and learns with Messi at PSG the rest of the way here and kind of develops that to the next team. But without him, this wasn't even a game, Danny Brams. You nailed it right on. He carried them to that penalty kick shootout.
And just living on the left wing here as you look at his tournament heat map, even got some corner action, just making stuff happen. There's always a threat coming in on that left side. He did play a little more centrally late in this game, as you mentioned. Doesn't quite have, didn't quite show the tactical and creativity, that would put him on a level with Messi. If you look at Messi's version of this graph, the attribute overview, It's like all
Yep.
90s, as
Right.
opposed to Mbappe, who has some 70s in there. But here's a
Yep.
question. Here's just a hypothetical. If
Sure.
Argentina loses the shootout, if that had
Mhm.
happened, let's say, and everybody's
Yep.
celebrating on the Champs-Élysées,
Yep.
does Gonzalo Montiel get to fly home to Argentina or not? Because
Oh
for
boy.
him to
Oh
have that
boy.
chicken wing flying up there, 120, 30 minutes or whatever, and this guy, you're up just trying to kill off the game for the World Cup, and you decide to do a ridiculous like handball.
I
Like how do you
don't
think that's
know
not
if
going to get called?
Messi lets him get out of the locker room if they don't
Right,
win that
right,
match, Danny,
exactly.
let alone the
Gonzalo,
plane. I think
yeah,
Messi just kind of says, "Hey, my friend, let's go over here," and you never see Montiel
yeah,
again.
yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
let's
I've
just
got
say
some
for his
nice.
sake,
I think they put a rainbow flag on his back and send him out to the press
yes,
conference or something like that. So,
exactly, exactly. So
yeah,
for his sake, he's glad that they
deal with
won.
the Qatari authorities.
But man, was that a you know what? And that's just the nature of a handball in this day and age, right? It's an unintentional move. He goes to take a block and his hand is out away from his body.
There's just
It's the
no
right
need for it.
call.
Yeah,
There's just no need for it, but it's the right call. We've seen it
right.
time and time again, especially like I said, you can go back to
If
PSG and Manchester United all those years back. I mean, that's the definition of a handball now. So keep those arms in.
mhm.
Come on, come
Come on, Gonzalo. Come on, man. This another River Plate stalwart from a couple
on. Yep,
years ago, Montiel. He was always
yep.
in those games when I was watching Alvarez back then. Now he's at Sevilla. I'm pretty sure, kind of a squad player. But
Hmm.
yeah, so props to Argentina. I think we should get into the pool
Yeah,
here. We're almost
yeah,
done with
definitely.
our normal episode length. How's about we check the leaderboard, and for all the drama that was in the World Cup final, there was drama in our pool.
There
There was
was,
drama
there
in the
was.
pool, and Kevin Knapp, my good friend from Germany, he jumped into the lead over Sebi Chirita right on the last
Yep.
day. They had the same guys going into the final four. They had the same Croatian, Moroccan, Frenchman, and Argentinian, but
Yep.
Kevin has had the Messi cap. So he needed Messi to have a huge game. I think he was down 10 going into the day and ends up winning by
Oh
30
wow.
just because,
Yeah.
I mean,
Because of the
captain
cap.
has a huge
Yeah.
impact with the 2X for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I myself, your humble pool runner, finished just outside the money. So congrats to our top four: Kevin, Sebi,
Yep.
AJ
Congratulations,
Giordano, and Joby
guys. Yep.
Passanante. AJ and Joby, I believe, are newcomers to the pool. Their first time playing, and they both finished top four. So very cool. Congrats on that. For me, I would have liked to won some money back, but then then it looks shady or whatever. It's like
Right.
I'll
We
just
wouldn't
take
have
I'll
questioned it
bubble
ever.
off and take the top none money spot just to show that I could have done it if I wanted to, but I
Right.
I
Exactly. If you
kind of
really
took a
wanted to.
dive to make
Exactly.
sure that I wasn't paying
Yes.
myself out and
Exactly.
stealing my friend's
Exactly.
money. So
And I
shout out to Mike
know.
Slipsky. So this is a legend that needs to be told. When Mike and I were in
Yes.
high school together, best friends in high school, he bought he thought he was buying a gumball. We were like walking out of a grocery store and they used to have these gumball machines. I don't know if they still do. So he thought he was buying like these gumballs that were like shaped like pool balls. He was like, "Oh, a giant gumball that's colored like a
Right.
pool ball. I'll get one." So he puts his 25 cents in, spins the thing, gets it, and it's not actually a gumball. It was more like a little keychain thing in the shape of a pool ball, not something
Mm-hmm.
you could eat.
Yep. Yep.
And it was the number 6. It was the 6 ball.
Oh wow.
So yeah. So back then, this is ancient history for you youngins out there. But as a mid 40-year-old, 44-year-old guy, I just turned. Back then in the mid 90s, there was this thing on the West Coast called the 8-Ball Gang. Does that resonate with you at all?
It does. It
There's
does.
this
Yep.
gang that all had tattoos of like an 8-ball, like a
Yep.
billiards 8-ball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the 8-Ball Gang was still around when you were coming up or if it got out to the East Coast or not. But so then we kind of theorized, well, we would start the 6-ball gang based on this like little thing. So 6 has always been our number. Me and Mike coming up through the years, we always like shout out our 6. And it was very fitting that Mike was able to finish 6th. I thought that was really cool.
Yep.
So
Yep.
put that one on your 6, Mike. I knew you could do it. Congratulations. Level Up Luke, friend of the show. Michael Volak, friend of the show. 9th and 12th, respectively. And then who's that? Who's that sitting there just outside the top 10?
Just missed the top 10 by 1 point, Danny Brams. It hurts. It hurts. My consistency was, I told you, it was going to be steady Eddie all the way through. And, unfortunately missed that top 10. But I did call out to you before the show, before we started recording. I'm taking the Euros, so I'm coming for whoever's going to be entering for the Euros. So just get ready for that.
We're running it back. We'll run the pool back for Euros 24. And also, if I probably won't do it if it's not in U.S., but there's whispers that the Copa America is going to be played in the United States.
Yep.
because Ecuador can't host it. That was awarded it, and so it might be it might be like Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, all the South American teams plus U.S., Mexico, Canada in 2024 summer. That would be an amazing tournament.
Which would be great.
I look forward to more details of that coming soon. Shout out to Jared Doherty, who always had, always he's been in this pool every year. He almost always finishes down near the bottom, climbed up into the top 15 this year. We love to see that. Whoops, I made a mistake there. Austin Street, one of my great friends from college. We were roommates in college, just total besties. I love to see him doing decently. Who else? Shep. We've talked about.
What happened to our, someone that we haven't talked about in a long time who was at the top was Jared Jackson. We're 34th in the end, which is tough sledding, especially
Tugford. Yeah, typical Man United fan. Wins the first day and tells me, "Oh, I'm going to win everything," and then just the drop came for him pretty hard.
And then, of course, we're looking right here at the households. They're actually, ironically, right in front of each other.
How about that?
How about that? Rachel taking the Hayes household and Scott taking the Worley house.
Right. The Lane. It was a little different for the Lanes.
Yes,
the Lane brothers had a lot bigger split. You see Kevin in 41st compared to Andrew in 16th.
16th. So but the other ones, congrats to Rach and congrats to Scott for
well, we knew Rachel was going to beat John the whole time, right?
We never had the whole time. Yeah, never doubted it. Never doubted it. But good to see it, and it's funny how it worked out like that, just kind of in those places right there. So
Vinny Cash climbed out of the cellar right at the end. He was looking to go wire to wire at the bottom, but shout out to him. And AJ, just a little AJ Giordano, he was referred to the pool by Vinny. So Vinny did horribly, but AJ finished third place, which, if we look at the prize sheet, is $150. So maybe a little kickback to Vinny on that one, AJ.
Maybe, I was gonna say maybe we'll send a nice way, and hopefully, Jess with all of her goalies, got out of the doldrums there. So she was worried about it.
She prioritized goalie, maybe because she played goalie in college. I'm not sure what.
Yep. But no, Danny Brams, this was a lot of fun. I know it was a lot of work, and I know Johnny's talked about it, and we've talked about it off air. But just wanted to give you a huge shout out for the work that you put into this pool. And I know it's done, a couple of years now, but it's a lot of work. For those of you who don't see what goes on behind the scenes, Danny Brams and I were going through spreadsheets like I can't imagine. And so for you to do this consistently and for all of us is just a huge props to you, and thank you for doing it. And even when you weren't watching games, you were still managing the pool and sending us out recaps. So it's a huge shout out to you, and made the tournament a lot more enjoyable for sure.
I think that's good. That's all we wanted. I thank you for the props. I think I made too many errors that had to be corrected to really accept full props, but I do appreciate it. And I mean, I learned a few things about Excel and Google Sheets that will allow me to probably do this a lot quicker, faster, and more reliably in the future. So that's good. So that we're taking.
And you know what? If there's a few errors, it's okay. If anyone else wants to take it off your plate and have less errors, then they're more than welcome to.
Right? So, exactly.
Just the fact that you
do it. You do it.
Yeah, you do it exactly. So
check the fantasy MVP standings. Messi, of course, Golden Ball winner. Mbappe snuck the golden boot from him right at the end with that last PK. They were kind of going back. The golden boot changed hands 3 times in the final, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly.
So, pretty cool. Grizzy somehow.
Christian.
This had to have cost me the money, because look, I took Griezmann instead of Mbappe, right? 73-point swing. Let's call it 72. That gets me up to second place.
Difference.
Yeah, I would have had second place, So that's how I threw the game for everybody else, I guess, was not taking him.
Trying to get a little cheeky, and you get.
I mean, I did. He is the 3rd highest overall scorer in the pool.
Yeah,
it's not it's not like Grizzy was a bad.
And he had a terrible final too, unfortunately for you. Which is such a disappointment. But and Christian Pulisic still in the top 10 there, as we talked about. So.
If you look over on the right side of this, are we seeing that? You see how the blocked off blue is like, you're out of games. You can see just visually, Pulisic played less than anybody else in the top 10 and still was there. So if he had 3 more games, he probably would have been a top 5 or top 3 fantasy scorer.
Absolutely.
Sure, so.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a guy,
I know I hate Pulisic, but I mean, I just felt the need to point that out.
No, of course. And it's funny how, we were talking about the point, what makes the difference, right? And a lot of guys, you mentioned you taking Griezmann, and I know you mentioned one other guy taking Ivan Perisic instead of Luka Modric, and what a major
which actually worked out well.
Yeah, exactly.
He won 3 daily prizes doing that.
Yeah, so things like that to look out for those that continue playing in the next tournaments for sure.
The dud of the day, the loser of the tournament probably is the KDB captain move. Three
Yep.
people captained KDB,
Yep.
34 points out of the group stage. He did decent. I mean, he got double-digit points
Yeah.
each game, but
Yep.
Belgium
Just a
just wasn't ready.
disappointment from them.
Just
Yeah.
just as soon as you saw that picture of him holding his man of the match award for the first group stage game, and he just like,
Yep.
and then you
Yeah.
hear the
He
quote
looks
about,
tired.
we're too old, we can't win it.
Yeah.
It was like, can I bet my mortgage against Belgium at every
Yes.
game they play? You know,
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
absolutely ridiculous. They
Exactly.
were just not ready to do it. So that was interesting.
Yep.
What other stories? We probably should wrap this up, but what other stories will stay with you beyond just the epic final from this cup?
I mean, I think you have to look at things like the Moroccan fans, just how they showed up and what they represented for not only for Morocco but for the African nations, the Arab nations, and how far they advanced. And that's a team to look out for. They're still a young team as well. A lot of young players. I'm not saying that they're going to make another run like this in the future, but a team to kind of keep on the radar. Of course, the scenes that we've seen um,
Semifinals.
from Argentina already, as well as just the crowd that they had there. That crowd was 80,000 to 8,000, I think, from Argentina to France fans. So yeah, those would be the memories for me. Is just the scenes of what we saw, the moments that we saw throughout the tournament. The storylines of some of those, like I said,
Mhm.
Morocco going as far as they did. So Danny
The
Brams, I love the World
the
Cup. It's always a fun time and never disappoints.
Japan for me, big story for
Yep.
sure. Don't want that to be forgotten. I
Yep.
love seeing Karol Swiderski get minutes. I talk about this guy so much. I should marry him, I guess. But like, I just love seeing his progression as a player for Charlotte FC. So
Yep.
excited for the return of Charlotte soccer to be coming back very soon.
Yep.
Charlotte is a soccer city, as we always say on this show,
Yep.
and so to see one of our boys, playing in the World Cup, even though he got really kind of a raw deal from Poland, they really didn't use him as effectively at all. Loved to
Yep.
see it. Love to see Qatar finish dead last in their group and never have a chance
Yep.
to win any of their games. I thought that was great.
Yep.
I wish that they could play more games so they could lose those games, to be honest, because they really deserve as much loss as
Yep.
possible. I think they finished dead last if you look
I think so.
in
Yeah,
this
goal
on goal
differential and
differential
everything.
behind
Yep.
Canada.
Yep.
It's so funny how
Yep.
Canada was like second to last, but everyone's like, "Oh, the brave Canadians," they showed such a
Yeah,
brave
they were
face.
close.
And
They were
yeah,
good. I mean,
whereas
a couple of things their way, and they could have had a different tournament for sure. And
Qatar gets a big
yeah, I
fu
think
from the international community for sure.
yeah, and that's another one. That's another thing for me too, Danny Brams is U.S. North America hosting the next one.
Mhm.
What will that be like? And of course, the U.S. having some good
When
momentum going into that tournament. So we'll see what comes in 2026.
when do we put the down payment on the RV? In terms of
It's already down. It's already
for our
down. So
for our cross country
we
road
can
trip
make
in
that road trip
26.
anytime you want. So we'll make that happen. We'll find the games, and we'll go. I'm definitely down for any game that I can get to in that tournament because
Mhm. Can't wait.
that's gonna be a fun one. Can't wait for that. You mentioned
I need to
something
start saving
earlier.
money right now, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, I know, me too. You mentioned something with Charlotte FC. I don't want to leave the fans hanging. MLS schedule is coming out tomorrow. I know you and Johnny are going to have a
Oh
recap
yeah.
episode of the schedule, so be on
We'll
the
be back
lookout for
in
that from these guys.
the main
Yep,
feed of Charlotte Soccer Show for sure,
yep. So
this week,
hopefully
talking
a little
MLS
road
big
trip
sketch.
out there for you guys to come out to the Pacific Northwest for a Timbers game. We'll
It
see if that happens, but
it
I'm sure you'll
if
cover that
you've
on
watched the
Wednesday.
video this far, if you've watched all this way, leave us a comment. Comment on the video
Yeah,
and tell us where you want to go see a game in 2026. What host city?
yep,
You can find the list online, or you can pretty much just guess. It's most major cities in the US. Where if you're watching this video, leave us a damn comment. I never schlep for likes and subs and all that on the show. I think it's just not my style. I know everybody does it on YouTube, but I will ask you, leave a comment. Tell us what city you want to go see a World Cup game in 26. I think that's good request.
yeah, yeah. And if you enjoyed this, if we did a good job, let us know.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
But Danny Brams, I had a blast. Like I said before, let's do it again. And I know we're going to be doing some Premier League banter as well, which is coming up.
Hmm.
Crazy to think that the Boxing Day is
We're gonna
just
start
around the
doing it.
corner.
Hopefully every
Yep,
Sunday. Hopefully every Sunday we'll
yep,
be here with some Premier League recap and just we love the banter. I
we
love
do.
talking with you on a microphone. So
Yeah, And we'll definitely get into more banter when we have some things to get back and forth with Arsenal versus
You're
Chelsea
definitely
and
about it
seeing what
watching
happens.
Chelsea
So
slide down the table into mid-table obscurity for
you
sure.
know what, this break was great. I didn't have to think about how bad we were, but now we're coming back out of it, so we'll see what happens. But no, there'll be some banter for sure. We'll definitely have some more banter.
Excellent. Well, I guess there's really nothing to do except one last time say it. So we do it together. 3, 2, 1 for the cup,
For the
baby.
cup.
We didn't do it together. You got
Oh,
3,
gosh,
2,
sorry.
1 for the cup,
For the
baby.
cup, baby.